Boy, do I feel the moon energy. I absolutely feel the moon energy. Hi, everyone. How are you? It's been a while, huh? Because I was looking at the last flyer for the last one, and I think it was the end of March. So we had to kind of we skipped one because of the show that I had in San Diego. So yeah, I was like, oh man, it seems like it's been such a long time. Ah, so I'm happy that I sound normal and I don't sound like a clown or anything like that. And if I do, I'm gonna be very upset. So because there's not a darn thing I can do about it. But I kind of figured it out. I think I figured it out now. I think that the streaming thing has to be last no matter what. But anyway, let me say hi to everyone while the chat is not. Oh no, it is. Oh wow. Hi, Almi, Alfonso. I just played Alfonso's pick, by the way. JBK Knights, nice to see you here. Oh, and they're on Twitch. David, Richard, Todd, Ricardo, Wendy, Sage, Mai, Kevin, Austin, Mark, DJ Trip in the house. Yes. Did I mention Sage? If not, Sage is in the house. Oh, and there it go. Oh, Emilio's in the house. Oh man, it's like now it's like okay. That's when I can't like read it anymore. It starts to go crazy. I can't read that fast. Oh, Lalo's in the house. I caught that. Adam, Blacklight Adam in the house. Yes. Awesome. Thank you for being here. So yeah, I'm fresh back from. Still feels like I'm fresh back from San Diego. I'm still wearing the hat, as it were. But no, I'm back from San Diego, and that was a fun gig. Although I made a fatal mistake in not filming, which is a major drag because there was a lot of nice people there that I wish would have been on camera, and I messed up. So I'm gonna start putting on the Abox flyers. Remind me to film because I don't know what's been going on with me mentally when I'm up there, but I set the camera up. I took a few test shots during sound check, and it was all set. All I had to do was just turn it on. I had one job. I'm kidding. I had more than one job up there. So obviously, in the interim of all the different moving parts, I forgot to turn on the camera. So that's the drag. So I don't have anything that I can play you from the show itself, other than some nice footage that was sent to me, but not ready for prime time. I still have to kind of clean it up a little. It's just, it's my by nature. But no, but yeah, if you got some good footage, send it my way, and I might edit it into something, which might be cool. But yeah, I was trying to do, and it looks so cool visually too. The whole thing, I think, in the end. Ah, oh, yeah. Todd says, map the camera to your rig control somehow. I wish. You don't know. It's already hard enough as it is to control everything I'm controlling up there. I think if I add just one more thing, I could have some sort of computer failure, which has never happened. It literally has not happened. Computer failure has occurred off gig, leading to, like, strange things, like when Mikey dropped coffee on my Mac before the show. Yeah, sorry, Mike, I had to bring it up. But yeah, so like things like that will occur, but I have not had a mishap, so I don't like to add other things to the computer to bog it down in any way because it's already doing a lot. Um, Ricardo says, "Is it you who controls the visuals?" To a degree. I mean, if you could call what I did in San Diego visuals, but yeah, I was running a visual, and I had a TV up there, which was not really doing anything but other than looking cool, and it did, I think, a little one, but it was fun. Um, so I digress. Yes, I'm starting already. I have to. But tonight, I wanted to talk about a subject. Well, first of all, before I get into the subject itself, um, I find it interesting that a lot of the DMs or that I get on my socials with advice, because people will DM me and ask me for advice. A lot of the advice that people keep asking me, it's like over and over, it just seems to pop up all the time. Is all these things related to resistance? And if you're new to this stream, you know that this is something that we've brought up a couple of times on this stream, and it's become a subject that somehow people like to ask me about. So, and it's okay, I don't mind, but I just want you to know that I am the one of the poster childs for the way that this stuff works. So, by no means am I I think I'm an expert on resistance beating me, because it does on occasion. But I think that overall, I've grown to understand how it works. So it came to some surprise when I discovered this other aspect of it that I hadn't thought about, which is something called creative overwhelm. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today is creative overwhelm. Um, and I think that the the song that I played, that was Alfonso's pick, Anxiety X, was pretty apropos to the situation. So some of these videos will kind of, videos. I said videos. Wow, that's because there's a video that I'm going to play too, if it works. But yeah, so I digress. Sorry. But it is Friday night, and I know that you probably want to listen to music too. So I will keep it all as as succinct as I can, so we can play more music. But then again, I don't know how this thing works because I'm not a YouTuber. I've said that a million times, but I think it's finally gonna, sink into some people that I am not a YouTuber. Um, I I'm a performer. I'm a writer. Um, a visual person. So, I mean, you would think I would want to start a channel just to do videos, but if you notice, I never really do videos on this channel. Like, I don't have like tutorial videos and I don't do that kind of stuff because I think that's like the death of the actual creativity. So I don't do it. I watch other people's tutorial videos, I learn from them, but I seldom want to do them. And I think I have uncovered another reason why that's the case. And it kind of goes along with the subject matter. But before I play the next song and or the next request, I should say, I wanted to uh, tell you all about the shows I've got coming up because that's that part. It's that part. It is part of it all. So let's look and see where I'm playing. Since I'm always the last to know, you know that that's actually true, right? That I'm always the last to know. Sometimes I get like, I don't know, like the shows come in and I'm like, people are telling me about them, and I'm like, I didn't know I was playing there next month. So it's like, I'm always the last to know. What does that say about me? I don't know. What does it say about me? Interesting. But anyway, this is where I'm going to be. Coming up next. Yeah, see, look, I'm already like, what? I'm going to Austin? Yeah. Yeah, Friday, April 18th, I will be in Austin. On the 19th, I will be in Corpus, which is awesome. And on May 23rd, I will be in Los Angeles at the Paramount one more time with Blacklight. That's going to be fun, man. So yeah, I've got 3 coming up. And then, of course, Germany is in there somewhere. And yes, new albums out, shilling, shilling, shilling. New albums out everywhere, so you can go get it and all that good stuff. Yeah, I think so too. So anyway, I'm gonna play a video that was requested. And it was, and it's nice that JP requested the video version of this song because it's interesting that the place where this was filmed doesn't exist anymore. It's like completely gone. They've actually built things over all this stuff. So it's kind of like weird and nostalgic because none of it is there anymore. Anyway, let's see if this works. I hope it does. This is Descent. Oh, which, by the way, JP, thank you for suggesting this one, because when I listened to it today for the first time in God knows how long, because everybody, if you don't know, I'm not like listening to Abox stuff all the time because I'm rehearsing and all this. But I was happy to hear this one because I think I may try to. This is one that I should practice more because this is actually a very old Abox song. But anyway, here you go. Ha, it worked. I think it worked. Ah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Um, that's nice. Thank you. Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you, Stephen, and Adam, and all of you. Thank you. That's very nice. So, yeah, so it's funny, none of those places exist anymore. That was filmed outside of Houston, and some of it was filmed near the Grand Canyon, as far as I remember. But as far as the Houston parts, it was an abandoned building where I'm kind of walking, and that's all gone. I guess it got like they remodeled and all that stuff and turned it into living quarters. So nice, thank you. So let's talk about this subject, and I'm gonna try to keep it. I'm gonna try to keep it steady tonight if I can, and not go crazy talking too long. So I'm trying to limit the way this works, only because I know that I can get long winded, and the only reason that I get long winded is because I'm by myself, and it's not that easy when you're the only person in the studio, and then you don't. I don't know. It's not the same as being in a show. It's like I'm always conscious in a show that a song has to come. So I guess it's that weirdness. But anyway, I digress. Which, if you don't know what that means, it means take a swig of whatever drink you brought. Thank you. So, creative overwhelm. So I didn't know it existed. I didn't even know it was a term. Um, it was brought up. It got brought up because I went through something this week that was a little interesting, and I wanted to share it with you. And kind of, it's a little vulnerable spot here, but I'm going to share it. As I was driving back from San Diego, I was thinking about the visual side of things, and I was like, I can't have a projector where, I have to set it up. I have to get a projector with batteries, and I was trying to figure out all the things that maybe could be improved on certain levels, right? So you always do that. It could be simple as what sounds not to use next time. It could be, these seemingly innocuous things. But when I got home and I started to look into the projectors, suddenly I got, as it works with all social media these days, I started to see things on my feed about software for, um, programming live shows. And then that led me to another rabbit hole on, the whole software side of it and the connecting of the different equipment and all this. And I had gone through this before where I went through all these different technical aspects of the video side of things. And one of the pieces of software, I don't need to name it, but it's very complex. I mean, it was so complex. I think it was called Touch Designer. And I'm not throwing shade on the software. I think it's wonderful. But if you're going to delve into something like this, into that type of software, I was looking at the sheer amount of data that I would have to not only consume, um, but the amount of training hours that I would have to go through to do it. And what happened was, as I was looking at the stuff that other people had done, suddenly it was as if everything that I had done in the last week when I had done, the show and all that was so diminished from it. Like I was like, compared to these things that I'm seeing, um, I'm not doing anything at all. And so like maybe I need to learn it. And so I started to delve in, and I realized like literally within a few hours that there's no way, there was no way that I was ever going to have enough time to throw this into my bag of tricks and learn it. Can I learn it? Absolutely. Am I capable? Of course I am. Have I done visual things before? Absolutely. So can I do it? Yes. But it's the idea of, can I or should I add yet one more thing to the arsenal just because I can do it? And that's where it sort of hit me that there's a lot of projects still in the works. And where would I find time to do this? And then I realized I'm creatively overwhelmed. And like it hit me um almost like a ton of bricks, because you're like thinking about it. I mean, not you, but you know what I mean? Like, as a creator, you're thinking about, oh, these are all the ideas I have, and I'm never going to have time to finish them all. I'm never going to have time enough to learn every new thing that I want to learn. Every technique, everything that needs to be learned to mix. I'll never learn all of it. And it sort of dragged me down a little bit. Um, Although I was doing pretty good. Sorry, I'm gonna make sure I can see what you're saying on the chat. Um, so I will divert the story a little bit to give you an idea of how this works for me. Um, I get ideas for things every second of the day. There isn't, and it's not a brag. Actually, I used to think it was. I used to think it was the absolute epitome of the gift or gifts, that I always had ideas. I could go to sleep thinking of an idea for a picture. I could go to sleep thinking for an idea for, you know, a photographic image. I could go to sleep with an idea of a sound in my head. And I always used to think it's the best thing in the world because I can get, I can literally do anything I want. So, um, but there comes a time when you kind of have to like think, well, wait a minute. Can I do this? Can I add to these ideas all the time? In other words, when am I going to get them done? At what point are they executable? At what point are they worth it? Um, and so sometimes the brain goes on overload and then you have too many. And then it's almost like a burnout, right? And so maybe I'm all over the place here. I should have taken notes. Yeah, I'm actually operating on no notes. Well, I have some notes, but anyway. So the idea is that you're just having too many ideas. That's the whole point. And the ideas become so overwhelming that then almost nothing gets worked on. And that's an interesting twist because when I was researching this subject, I realized that it's sneakily, is that a word? It's a really sneaky way for resistance to get into the fold and make it seem like that's what's going on. But in reality, it's like, I stopped you from doing the real work. And I'm going to explain how that works, how it happens, and maybe what we can do about it. Because my goal has always been, um, to help people out in any way that I can. So I think I try to do that with the music and the art, of course. That's number one. But I figure since I'm going to be a talking Pop Tart on this thing, I may as well share some of my hard knock life, wisdom, or whatever you want to call it, that has gotten me this far. And as I learn new things, I love sharing them. So we'll come back to it and then I'll explain it a little bit better. But this one is for Lalo in Peru. He requested Soldier and Child. I'm going to play that while we look at some visuals. Sure, that'll work. that came up faster than I thought. Ooh, sorry. Trying to find the camera. Trying to find the camera. So let's go back to this creative overwhelm thing. Um, so this is what I want to kind of bring up. Why I found the subject interesting. There are two camps. There's a camp that creative overwhelm is just its own thing. It's a completely interesting phenomenon of just creativity just going haywire, and it's just eating at you, and you're just being uber creative and you can't stop. There's that one side of it, so much so until you burn out and then do nothing. And then the other camp is that creative overwhelm is literally um, just part of putting off the work. But I shouldn't say it like that, because that's not really what they say. It's sort of, you have enough talent to deal with the amount of work. It's just that you're not managing your time better. So one aspect of it looks at it like a psychological problem, and another side of it looks at it like a time management problem. And I think we talked about that a little bit with the whole procrastination thing. So what I found interesting is that no one correlated it to resistance. And I found that really interesting. So I'm going to read you the tips that were given in one article. And I'm going to see if one of you tells me which one of those is actually resistance oriented. It could be all four or five of them, but I'll explain that as we go along. So the first one is the following. These are the tips. 1, remember that all ideas are meant to be given a voice and nurtured. They don't all have to be actualized. Shift the paradigm that says an idea without a result is a failure. Ideas are just seeds for more ideas. Nice. 2, consider that because you can do something doesn't mean that you should. No matter how ideal an opportunity may be on paper, if the thought or following through doesn't excite you, chances are it's not right for you. Cool. Number 3, come up with a process to download your ideas. Put your ideas on Post-it notes where they can live until you decide to take an action or not on a project. Getting the ideas out of your head and knowing that they live somewhere will get rid of the stress of not progressing on them. Then, if the time is right, you will move forward. Okay. 4, redefine what success looks like to you. Yes, completing a creative project might be a worthy goal, but finishing for the sake of finishing might not be. Tune out the noise of external validation and consider what the success would look like for you and you alone. Good. Number 5, go where the energy is. When you have a strong pull to an idea, it's a sign to dig in. And at the same time, be patient when the energy isn't pulling you in any direction. Continue to percolate the ideas until you're ready to take an action. So this is like the advice. And don't get me wrong, it seems like good advice. And most of it is. But this is the advice for those that are suffering from, quote, creative overwhelm. So I'm going to go back through the 5 right now, and I'll actually put them on screen so you can see them. So hold on, let me just get this. Can I do it without like screwing it up? Oh, I don't know. We're going to find out. Yeah, it's not showing it. It's showing the chat instead. Because I put that somewhere else. Okay, I can't share it with you. So I guess you're going to just have to deal with my mug and my comments here. But let's take the first one. Remember that all ideas are meant to be given a voice and nurtured, but they don't all have to be actualized. Shift the paradigm that says an idea without a result is a failure. Ideas are just seeds for more ideas. I can absolutely, from my perspective, agree with that one. So the idea here is, or the term here is to, you got a great idea, write it down, put it in a journal, put it in a post-it note, write the idea down. That's okay because you never know. It's a good idea. Why shouldn't you write it down? That doesn't mean that you have to take action on that idea today because you could be in the middle of a different project. Consider the idea, for example, you're writing a novel, or since Sage is on the chat and I know he does comics, you could be working on a book and suddenly have an idea for a completely different turn of events, different characters, different storyline. That's fine. You could take that 5 minutes to set it aside, get the idea down somewhere so that you don't forget it, because that's the worst, right? And then you just go right back to work. Understood. I get that one. I think that's great. Okay, the second tip. Consider that just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should. No matter how ideal the opportunity is on paper, if the thought of following through does not excite you, chances are it's not right for you. I sort of agree with that one. That goes back to my analogy of I found this software to do video editing and visuals, and I thought it was wonderful. And I was like, oh my God, until I realized the amount of work that it would take from me that I just wasn't willing to give it a year to 2 years of training to do. I just can't do it. My thought process, and somebody on the chat wrote it, but it just swiped by. My thought process, the epiphany I got was, honestly, I'd rather give $300 to someone, or, whatever, to someone who's a visual artist and say, hey, I want this animation. Can you do this for me? I'll pay you. This is what I'm looking for. They do it. I have it. I project it. That's better for me because in the end, I just need that visual. I'm not trying to get into a new art form. So I understand that one 100%. Number 3. This was the funny one for me. Come up with a process to download your ideas, meaning, write them down and put them on notes. But then it says, so that they live somewhere and it gets rid of the stress of not progressing on them. When and if the time is right, you will move forward. Well, that's the interesting one. That's where it's like I have the superpower of like sniffing out resistance there. If the idea was good enough to write down, and the idea was good enough for you to see or go back to it, and if the idea was good enough that you started on it, I don't know that I don't like to give the idea of like, I keep saying the word idea. I don't like to give the impression that inspiration is something you wait for. It's not. I'm going to be totally bitterly honest to anyone who's out there listening. Seriously, inspiration is not worth waiting for. If you wait for it, you're going to do nothing. You will do nothing. You need to create instead some form of excitement that comes off of the idea that you have for you to start working on it so that you can actually do something with it. When you do this, you will work on something and that something will turn into something. Hence, that's how you get a comic book. That's how you get an album. That's how you get a song. That's how you get a sound, a new poem. This is how you do it. You must follow through. You can't say, when I feel like it, it will come. It doesn't. So I don't agree with that one for some reason. I viscerally don't agree with it. The fourth one was redefine what success looks like to you. Yeah, completing a project is a worthy goal. I get that. But finishing for the sake of finishing might not be. I don't quite agree with that one either. Because if the project was important to you, in other words, if you set out to record an album and you're 7 songs in and you've got 3 songs to go and they're in their mid-state and something isn't working in the studio, to throw it away just because you've hit a wall is not the answer. I do not think that. Now, you could say I'm going to step away from it for a few days. I'm going to work on recharging my batteries because I've been doing it for 36 hours straight and I'm tired and I haven't slept. Understood. By all means, get good sleep, take your vitamins, do some exercise, go hang out with friends, whatever it is that you need to get back to your center. But know that at a certain point, the clock is going to start and you need to finish. Because if it's an album and you started it, you should finish it. If it's a book, you should finish it. There shouldn't be any reason why you're not finishing it other than you're getting in the way of yourself. So there's a difference, I think, between the idea of being creatively overwhelmed because I have too many ideas and the sneaky enemy of resistance going, I can use that as an excuse. I can make him think he's just so creative that he's not going to finish. And then he won't do it. And I get my way. Because remember, or unless you don't know, resistance is fear. So if we have fear, we're not going to do it. So anyway, that's where I'm at. So let's play another song. We're doing good. I think I'm doing good. So when I was in, so I'm going to tell you something as a side note before I play the song, because I just want to, we're doing like, it's going to be like heavy, not so heavy. Okay. So unless you think I'm going crazy here, but, cause I have more stories to tell you, but I digress. By the way, you folks are funny. So, bursting with creativity, eh? That's funny. So, when I was in San Diego, I got 2 requests for songs that they really wanted to hear, which really sucked because I hadn't rehearsed them at all. And I went so far as to not even bring them with me so that I could play them. Because they were just not part of the set at all. And I had literally practiced about 36 songs that I could have possibly played that night, that if someone would have asked for it, it probably was in the can and I could have done it. But this particular song got requested and I just couldn't do it. And I felt bad because then 3 or 4 people said, yeah, play that one. And I'm like, yeah, I can't. So this one's for Rita and for the people that were in the front who kept asking for Hypocrites, and I didn't do it because I had not practiced it at all. So here we go. Hypocrites, the first demo. And yeah, we'll turn on something or other. Yeah, cube or synth cam with some weird. Yeah, there you go. Hypocrites, first demo. Yeah, sorry about that, Steve. I wish you'd been there too, man. Steve says, sad to think Abox played San Diego show and I was stuck working in Florida. But I gotta tell you, Steve, um, that chicken place you sent me to was unbelievable, man. I don't know, man. That was so good. Anyway, but getting back to it. So this happens to me a lot with a lot of different uh aspects of what I do. So like I'm going to give you some examples. Like I have a friend who like very recently said to me, and it's not the first time this has happened. You got to get into modular. Why? Because you love synths. I know. I love synths. Of course. He goes, no, but you got to get into modular. You got to get into it. Um, I'm gonna get into it because I think it's the perfect thing for my music. Meanwhile, um, there has been no music released. So to me, this is like another rabbit hole where the shiny thing is going to get at you and then it's like, well, if I get into modular, right? So, you know, if you're going to get into modular as an example, you're going to have to learn how to patch things. You're going to have to buy the case. You're going to have to pick the different modules and there's hundreds of them. You're going to have to want to know like kind of where you're headed. I've seen so many articles on this already. And so I explained to him that I already do modular. I do it on my computer and it's easier for me. I learned it. I build what I need to build. I make a sound. I'm happy. There's no reason for me to go outside of this sphere because I know what I'm getting with this sphere. Because in the end, I'm only here for two things. It's either going to be, oh, thank you, Clara. I love you too. Valencia, hi, hi. Nice, new people I've not seen before. So, so for example, you know, I will work on something for two reasons. A, I want to get into some sort of zone so that I can write a song or a song will come out of me. B, uh, to help a song along. And on the visual side, um, I just want to make marks on paper. Um, so the idea is if I get into something completely different and new, it's not that it's a bad thing. I challenge myself all the time. It's important to challenge yourself. However, there's this there's this need to identify whether the new shiny thing that you're looking at is really something you want to delve into, or is it a distraction taking you away from the other thing you're supposed to be doing? So, kind of put that into perspective. So, a couple years ago, I almost got convinced by a friend to start doing modular. And I started looking at the cases, and I realized that I actually spent a week on just the research. And meanwhile, I had been building things left and right in software, but it was the idea of like the choices are so endless that I don't see an end to it. And that, my friends, is when it hit me this week. What was wrong? It's not it has nothing to do with creative overwhelmment. I actually think the thing doesn't exist. I don't think that at all. I think it's consumer overwhelmment. I mean, everything revolves around getting the latest thing to help you finish something. Where in reality, I'm just going to be honest, all you need to write a song is a melody, someone to sing it, you're good to go, and a pen. There's not much else that you need. You could write a song with a guitar, You could write a song by banging on stuff. You could write a song on someone's borrowed piano, on a cheapy Casio. There's no end all be all that you're going to buy that's going to make you write the ultimate song. Can I just say that and get away with it at this point? Like, seriously, buying the best guitar in the world is not going to write the best guitar in the world. It may not even write a good song. The crappiest guitar that you found in a dumpster, cracked, which is a true story, I did. You're trying to get something to come out of it. You know what I mean? You're trying to get something to come out of this stupid guitar that's all messed up, and suddenly you're like, I found a song. That's the thing. That's the beauty. You're supposed to play. You're supposed to draw. If you're a writer, you're supposed to write. You're supposed to sit down and write. These are the things that will create the thing, not the gear and not the endless amounts of like, let's buy this, let's add this. Like, I've seen people who they own 16 different microphones. Look, I'll be honest, I own a couple of microphones and I do own different preamps. So I'm not like saying you shouldn't go out and buy gear. Look at my room. I have gear. What I'm saying is, if you feel overwhelmed, the last thing you want to do is go out and buy yet another piece of gear to give you ideas. Because guess what? That's not going to work. It's just going to add to the anxiety of the whole thing. So it's sort of like you have to step back and think of why you feel overwhelmed. Is it because you're being given too many choices, or suddenly you feel like you have to learn all these new things? It's like, I can't do the next album. Like, imagine if I came on here and I said, friends, Abox fam, I've got an album in me, but I can't do it. I can't do it until I'm in a big house, have a modular, an upright piano, an acoustic uh, drum set that's tuned a certain way, and I want to have it so that I have, 2 echoplexes in stereo. And unless I get these things, I can't make the next Abox album. So sorry. Like, can you imagine? Like, it doesn't work that way. In fact, I catch myself because I've caught myself many times where I'm like, if only I could do this. And then it's like, well, you can. Um, I'll give you a really funny example. I kept thinking that, what happens if I don't find a place to rehearse? Well, I have headphones. I don't like doing it that way. But if I have to, last resort, I can rehearse. It's not impossible, you know? Exactly. Summer Dream 3 says, Avicii became Avicii in his room with FL Studio, and he stuck to it. He stuck to it for a long time. You don't need heavy amounts of gear. So, like, let me give you another example of the whole creative overwhelm thing that I'm going to kind of call it resistance in a nice costume. So, let's say that you're a writer and you're writing a story, and then suddenly you decide, this story would be better suited as a film, and I can see it being a film. Now, the correct thing to do would be, I'm going to finish the story, make it super kick-ass. Then I'm going to find someone that knows about scripts and pitching to movies, give him my book. Then we're going to find out, like, what he thinks of this. And then maybe this person can find, um, you know, a producer that wants to produce the film. That would be probably the route you would go. But more often than not, the person who's in the middle of writing the story says, in order to film it, it's got to have a look. So I'm going to look up all the different cinematic looks that I can get for my camera. And maybe I might have to get a new camera. And if I get a new camera, I may have to invest in about 16 different lenses. And then when I have this, I'll take a few test shots of what I've written so far and see if they work as a film. And then I'll know for sure that all I need to do is now hook up with the right person. It's like they're going backwards. And, I'm not saying that people don't go out and buy something and suddenly decide to become filmmakers and make films. In fact, I know there are people that have done this, but they've done it in a way that, you know what I mean? There's people that will have, sorry, the chat distracted me. Um, there's people that will say, "Oh my God, I didn't know you could film movies on an iPhone." Buy an iPhone and immediately go film a movie. That's different. I like that. When someone does this, that type of thing where they just go, "I never knew that these devices could make noises like that, and I never knew how that was done." So they go into a store and they buy the first device and out comes 5 songs. Absolutely go for it. That's fine. Um I don't like the idea that inspiration or overload seems to come from the act itself. Now, granted, we are talking about creative overload or overwhelm. And there are aspects of it that I do understand that I fall under. I said before I was going to talk about this subject that I felt like I was the poster child for this. It's like I said, I get ideas all the time. They're in my head. They're there when I'm sleeping. They're there when I wake up. They're there while I'm having my coffee. I have ideas. I was having musical ideas before I even started streaming tonight. The thing is, all I have to do, and this is just as much advice for myself as to anyone that's out there listening, is to just allot time for this. From this time to this time, I will be in the studio and I will noodle until something happens. And if nothing happens, that's fine. If you get an idea, at least you've got it jotted down. At least you wrote some part of the song. At least you sat down and did a sound design. You got somewhere. But if you're just going to load up on gear and stare at the manuals in thinking that that's going to be the thing that happens, it's not going to happen. So be good for goodness sakes. Oh my God, it's too early. Time for a song. And apropos, so this one's for who asked for a song that I did not play in San Diego because I just couldn't. And that's right. That's right. Exactly. So anyway, I didn't even say who I was saying exactly to, but you'll have to figure it out. I'm saying exactly to all of you. Oh, drone cam it is. And you define yourself. That was for my. Thank you for being patient with me. So, so here's my tips for creative overwhelm. These are mine. Um, with the idea of resistance in mind. I'm gonna like go through them, and then you guys can ask me questions if you like, if you don't understand what some of them are. So here's my first tip. I do think you should jot down all your ideas in a journal. So it's there. They're not forgotten, and there's nothing wrong with that. Even if you're never going to get to all of them, because I have another exercise for you, which is very different from creative overwhelm. But here's what I would do: write it down in a journal, get them down. That's cool. You can do 10 a day. Anytime you have an idea, have a notebook with you. I have several that I keep around just to have ideas. So I can tell you that I always have ideas. Now, the opposite end of this happens when you're like, man, I got no ideas. I got nothing. Well, that's not exactly true, man. Because if you have nothing, then these books mean nothing. So you've been writing ideas for months. So you should be able to go back and find a few good ones and say, "Oh yeah, I remember when that was a really good idea." So you can go back to the ideas that quote seemed good then and start on something. So when you don't have one, it's good to fall back on the ones you had, right? So that's one thing I would do. Two, I would change the way you frame the overwhelm. So you might be thinking, I will never get this stuff done in my lifetime. Or what if something happens and these ideas never see the light of day? Relax, because you can frame it a little bit differently, like, I want to slow down because the truth is I've got this and these things will come out in their own way in time. Meaning I don't have to worry about all these ideas being executables as long as I'm doing something with what I've got so far. Because if you're doing something like working on a record, who cares that you have 5 other records in the in the queue that you're thinking about? So what? You've got them. They're there. You can go to them. But right now, you're working on a record, so finish the record you're working on. Don't worry about it. Light meditation. Um, this isn't this isn't the traditional get into a pretzel position and hum type of meditation. This is a simple one. Simple meditation. Take a walk without a phone or headphones if it's music. In fact, we're trying to do the opposite. We're trying to not be taken in by things. So no phone, no headphones. Take a walk and just take in everything that's happening. Um, Sort of like a form of mindfulness while you're walking. Here's the sidewalks. Those are markings on the sidewalks. Aren't they nice? There's some people. It's a nice weather out. All of that stuff. Take it all in. Think how grateful you are that you actually have good ideas. And yeah, say to yourself, I'm getting better at this creativity thing. In the present tense is a very good thing to do, by the way. Always do it in the present tense. I'm getting better at this creativity thing. I can manage my creativity. I feel good right now. I'm walking. I'm enjoying it. That little bit of meditation might be all you need to come back and suddenly you want to work on something. Number 4. Remember that this is the funky one. This relates to the subject matter we last tackled, which was death. Remember that your time on earth is unmeasurable. There is no way to tell how much time you have. Therefore, there is a paradox here that can be used very well. Use the paradox, which is, I have all the time I need until I don't. So I either get busy working or relax and take time out, because you're using the time that you have with a sense of mindfulness. Either you're taking time for yourself to non-reflect on the ideas, or you're taking time to work on the ideas, while in your head knowing that time is both fleeting and expansive. It's the paradox. Because if you're working, you can actually get yourself into the mental state of there's not enough time, so you work more, you work faster, you work more efficiently. And then when you're not working on ideas, like the opposite, I have plenty of time. I could die tomorrow, but I have plenty of time. I'm fine. And the two things, they sort of, you would think they work against each other, but they don't. They'll work. Um, Remember that resistance is fear. So if the overwhelm feeling is hiding in fear, best to examine the fear first before trying to tackle the project at hand. Like if something's like really holding you back and you kind of figured it out what it is, nip it in the bud then, because I think that's the better thing to do. So that's sort of the idea here. Scale back, but not so much that you're actually being lazy, because this is the way I'm always going to be with the creative types that are in there in the room listening. You have to work on your stuff. If you were born to write, you need to write. It's a fact. If you were born to paint, you need to paint. That doesn't mean that because you were born to paint, you also were born to sing and to do sculpture and to, take dance. I mean, you could do all of those things, but you have to think about what your core is. And that is also important. What is the core? So, like, I thought about this today when I was like drinking my coffee. I was like, what is the core? What is at the core of my own psyche? And it was really simple. I'm obsessed with sound, and I'm obsessed with putting sounds together and singing with those sounds. That is like the core of what Abox or me is. And then on the visual side, what's the core? I like making marks on paper. That is my favorite thing to do. Um, I don't need much else um, than those things, and I combine them in a certain way. That's the core. So everything else that I'm gonna take in is just icing on that cake, but it has to be icing. It has to be something that actually makes that cake work. It can't be something that takes away from the cake, you know? Yeah, Sage says says it right there. I will see stuff to draw all day everywhere. Of course, because you're surrounded by it. How could you not? And that's fine, but you're not going to draw. Well, I don't know. Maybe for you it's different. Maybe you will draw all the time, but it's good to know where you're at when you're drawing, right? I don't know if I'm like never drawn a film, but I like the idea. But mostly visual art. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't see like Ricardo said something about finding inspiration. Like, where do you find it? I don't like to find it. I actually don't go out looking for it. I know that inspiration will find me between the hours of 9 and 5 if I sit down in the studio. Um, if I go for a walk with my notebook and a pen and some drawing stuff, inspiration will find me if I sit down and start to make marks on paper. It will not find me if I'm expecting it, like thinking to myself, now that I'm here and I've got my lucky rabbit's foot and I've said my magic incantations, a drawing will happen. Because 99% of the time, that's not how it works. I think that's funny. Todd says, inspiration finds me when I'm trying to sleep. I know. See what I mean though? Yeah. So it's like, yeah, exactly. It's gonna come when it comes. But again, that's when it's good to have a little journal around, right? So that you can like write something down. If something happens, you can just. Although if you're like me, if I get up in the middle, like I loathe this. I'm gonna tell you this right now. Might be TMI for some people, but if I get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, I try to stay in whatever dream state I'm in, because I know that if I start thinking about anything that has to do with music or art, suddenly my eyes will be like this for the entire rest of the evening and I will not get any sleep. My brain will start to go into and I will, it's like a little loop and it won't shut off. So I make a very concerted effort. You might even call it acting, that when I get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, I pretend I pretend to be super sleepy. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going back to bed. Like, like I do one of those, knowing that if I'm able to keep that momentum when I hit the pillow, I might be able to get back to sleep without a problem. But if I so much as see something and go, oh, that's an interesting line on the wall. Look at the way that crack goes. Suddenly, I want to bring out the book and start drawing and doing something. And, obviously it's going to be like down the drain because tomorrow, obviously, that'll happen on the nights that the next day I'm supposed to get up really early and be in the studio. And so, therefore, you know, yeah, Todd says, if I start thinking of something in that few minutes, sleep is over. Exactly. Exactly. And I feel like that gets worse as you get older, unfortunately. So look what you have to look forward to, young ones. Your creativity actually gets more intense as you get older. Isn't that awesome? You know? So, but yeah. Well, I can't like walk in the dark because there's too much shit around here. I'd break a leg or something. So let's play a song. I'm gonna play a song and then I'll come back and we'll talk some more. I hope you're enjoying this, or at least the music part. But I don't know how many of these resistance type things we're gonna do because there's not that much left to talk about, except that it is your enemy, and you must beat it, and you beat it by doing your work. Do your effing work. All right, so this one's for Wendy. This is Nostalgia, the 2014 version. All right. Is that clear? Yeah, I think we can all see it. So, Emilio, I'm glad you brought up the NFT and NYC stuff. Only because it reminded me that for the last couple of, I don't know, I think it's been months now, I haven't been minting stuff. And I was trying to schedule it in, like I need to schedule like so that I can like mint, and it was something that I wanted to keep the momentum going because I still believe in all that stuff. Obviously I do. So, that's funny. Sending me love, I gotcha. I will address that question next. Um so the idea was that like if I haven't been minting, like is it reasonable to think that maybe I'm losing interest? And I kept thinking to myself, am I losing interest? And the idea behind, oh, sorry, I keep saying idea. It's once it's stuck in, it's like a loop in your head. The short answer is no. I have not stopped minting. And in fact, I minted 2 pieces this week for someone. But um, no, I haven't stopped my idea of working within Web3 and trying to like incorporate that into what I do. Um, but it does serve. For example, one of the things that held me back was I wanted to learn how to do like multiple layer programmable NFT type stuff, and I got so deep into it that I wound up doing nothing for months. And I had to come back from that and say, what I want it for is for provenance and to, you know, solidify the legacy of the music and the art and put it on the blockchain. I don't have interest in the other stuff, that the other aspects of it, because in that sense of the word, I won't have the time. I will not be able to do it. And as every day goes by, I think to myself, how could I incorporate more and more things into what I do than what I've already done? So right now, NFTs can be considered like the the strange cousin that added itself to my family, but it's okay. I'll still do it. But it was a good example of how far I went for a while, and then I got so lost that I didn't know how to find my way back. So it is something that I will continue to do. So that's because also I got that DM this week. Someone asked me, "Are you gonna still do NFTs?" And I'm like, "Yes, absolutely. I love it. I don't want to stop. I don't care how the market's doing. I will continue to do NFTs and explore them." But my exploring is not the same as someone who dedicates their entire life to it. Um, I don't know that that will be my path. I don't know. That's the beauty. And that's actually an interesting position to be in. You don't know. I don't know. It's a mystery. Wherever the path goes, where the clearing opens up, I'll walk. Um, if I have to chop a tree down or two, I may. But the reality is, I look for openings in the path. And when I see an opening in the path, I take it. So, Sending Me Love on YouTube asked me this question. Um, what thoughts do you have on the Korg MS-2000? Picked one up cheap, speaking of pieces of equipment. It's an excellent piece of kit. You could do really cool things with it. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Like if you're enjoying it, absolutely. Funny side note, I worked on my 2 ESQ ones, one that I messed up royally. I tried to replace the battery and it just went bonkers. I still have to do a sampling session with it because it's just making weird noises, so it's kind of cool, but it's dead. The other one, I was able to make it work. And I was able to take these old cartridges and I got myself, I don't know, about 180 something sounds out of it, which is awesome. And sadly enough, this is like a really weird, sad note to that for the people that are gonna like. Sorry, this is tech talk now. The sad thing was that when I was on the keyboard itself and I was playing it to find the new sounds and to transfer them to the computer, it was fun. But when it came time to like refine the sounds, I found that it was still easier on the software. I got used to the new interface of the software and it just worked so well. So once the sounds were out of the keyboard, it's pretty much done. And it was a strange goodbye because there's nothing in those keyboards now that I don't have. So now they're really done. And it was like a weird thing to say goodbye to them, but at the same time, it is what it is. You know, now I can move on. But the cool thing is, I have to tell you this because it's funny. I actually found the original sequences for Living in Oblivion, Kiss of Love, Our Dreams, When We Lie, and a few other songs that I had forgotten about. I got them. And so that will be fun. Fun stuff to get to. I wrote down the ideas. I'm not saying that I'm going to do all of it, but at least on that one I followed through because it was exciting, you know. But anyway, I digress. Can you believe it's almost time for us to go? It's crazy. So anyway, um don't think that I'm not sorry. I don't want you to think out there that I'm being insensitive when I say, you know, creative overwhelm is really resistance hiding in disguise, you know. It might not be for some of you, but I urge you, this is not a shill because I'm not getting paid for it, but find the recorded version of The War of Art. I can't remember the guy who narrates it, but I think it's Tom Waddell, I think is the guy who narrates the book. Don't get the one that's narrated by the author. I know that's blasphemous, but the other guy did such a great job. It's like burned in my skull, that book. I love the audiobook because I like to listen to it when I'm down. And I'll tell you, man, you'll get a lot out of it. Even if you're not a quote creative, even if you're not like, trying to start a band or, work on a novel, it'll help you in a way that you may not understand right away, but you'll understand at least those around you who are creative and you might be able to help them because that's the other side. You can help others um, on your journey. So anyway, I urge that book to be the number one book that I would buy for a creative. It's called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. That is the guy's name who wrote it. But that is a great book, and it absolutely changed my life. If it weren't for that book, I could tell you that there's a lot of things that wouldn't exist right now because it pushed me in getting out of the rut of, block and then suddenly inspired and then blocked and then suddenly inspired. It does narrow that time, you know. Thanks, George. Thank you for that one. Or Jorge, I should say. Um, you know, thank you. Wait till the next ones, man. I'm like dying to like try out all the new sounds that I've been messing around with. I think the new sounds or the new shows are gonna be even better. So yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Um ah that's funny. Yeah, I mean, We all get burned out. Don't get me wrong. Burnout is real. So, but it's a good sign that if you're burned out because you're working too much, it's a good sign that you need to take care of yourself. And that's fine. You should take care of yourself always. But I think it's funny that, like, even when I say that I'm burned out, I'm just going to address that one too, because that one's interesting to me. Even when I say that I'm burned out, what exactly burns me out? What is it that burned me out? Was it actually making sounds? Was it working on a song? Or was it that I was looking at emails, um, affected by things that are on the news, um, frustrated that the sound is not doing what it's supposed to be doing, and then suddenly all of that coalesces and turns into something. And in 2025, let me tell you, it's like literally a trip, 0 to 50 in 10 seconds for that to happen, because we live in a world where we're hyper fed everything 24/7. So it's even harder to break away from it. Uh, George says, "Can I upload your mixes that I've done? Send them to me, man. Send me some stuff. I'd love to hear what it sounds like." Yeah, I think the outside. Yeah, Todd. I think it is the outside influences. I think that is like probably the worst offender. So it goes. So we've got 10 minutes. So I've got 2 songs to play. I'm gonna play this one. Came up during the week, and I thought it was gonna be a good one to play tonight too. Um, this is "Love Will Be Your Friend," and I'll turn on the visuals. Visuals. As we're driving by, I can see them standing near the train. Almost in my mind, I can hear And just like that, it's coming to an end, man. So I guess I'll just give you my final thoughts on the whole thing. Um, Realize that to be creatively overwhelmed is not necessarily a bad thing. However, it's a good, clear sign that you need some rest and some relaxation and some fun that is not related to the thing itself. And that's okay too. You need to get away from it once in a while. You can always take the ideas with you, but time wasted can never be gotten back. So at least use your time for, use your time to create um, inspiration for yourself. Don't look for it. It will find you as long as you sit down to do your work. Notice the trend here every time we talk about this subject? Sit down, do your work. Like just sit down and do your work. Um I mean, when I think back to all the times that I wasted not being in the studio just because I was chasing some stupid inspiration that I thought like was going to happen if I just got this piece of gear, cuz I did that for a long time ago. I did it actually. Bought pieces of gear willy-nilly just because I needed to have it, and nothing really happened with it. Um, you know, I stick to now what I consider my go-tos, meaning that I know what are the things that I can definitely make songs with, and I stick to those things like glue because I know that those things will lead me to the water, and that's all that matters on my side. But on your side, you know, take a little time out when you need it. Once again, write your ideas down. They'll be there for you when you need them. And while you're on a project, do the best you can to stay on it, even if it's doing little stuff that is seemingly innocuous. As long as you're working on something, you're beating it. Okay? So I will leave you with one bit of news that I forgot to mention, and then I'll let it go. I don't know if you guys follow Papanot or Twilight Records in Argentina, but 19 just got released on CD there as well as Universe. And 19 has never been on CD. So that's interesting. I don't even have one yet. I'm hoping they'll send me one. And if you're asking me why they did it and I didn't do it, it's because it's been something we've been talking about for a long time. And it will happen on the US side, but it's going to take some time. So I didn't want to hold it up. So Argentina got it first. So it's Twilight Records. But I'll give you I just saw today that at Papanot, they were actually sold out. But there's the link. I just popped it in the chat. But yeah. So yeah, 19 is going to be coming at some point on CD, as will Electrodelica and everything else. I've been, going back to the old stuff, but of course, I'm also trying to promote the new album as much as I can, as well as unearth singles and remixes from the past. So, I've been doing that. There was no release this week, but I got a feeling there will be another Living in Oblivion remix next week coming out on Spotify, along with other things from the new album. So stay tuned on that, because things are getting interesting around here. But, I'm going to play this last song and then I'm going to say goodnight. And this one wasn't a request. I was just happy that I got to play this one in San Diego and it worked out really well. So I just wanted to end the night with this one and dedicate it to all of you out there. I just want you to know that whenever I see you guys out there, um, it just makes me really happy, and that's one of the reasons why I do what I do. Is I love seeing people at the shows, and I love interacting with you all, and it's a unique experience. It's something so different. Um, I mean, I could never have imagined this when I was starting out that I was gonna someday um, be on a camera and talking to people all over the world and just hanging out. Like, I mean, that's an amazing thing, and it is unique to this era as opposed to any other era I've lived through. So it's very unique and in some ways very new. So, anyway, this song is for you. And after this, I will say goodnight, even if it is a little early. But sorry, it is what it is. I started early. Early. But anyway, this is In Your Smile from the new album. I just wanted to say thank you to all of you. And I love you all. Thank you. Thank you for being here with me, being good to each other. All right. Here you go.
Feel the sun
I will see you next week. Good night.